Hey, are you thinking about starting a trucking company? Have you already started a trucking company or in the infancy stages and you're trying to figure out what to do next? Well, I've got a good video for you, so stay tuned. Hey, this is Alton Lumpkin with Trucking Success Pro. We're a new channel. We're a new channel centered around trucking, transportation, logistics, and all that good stuff. So we're going to talk a lot about business and how to get started. So welcome if you haven't subscribed already, and go ahead and do so. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified each and every time we do a video. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. And like I said, we've got a really good video for you. This is a really good video for those that are thinking about the trucking business as a business for you. If you're just kind of thinking about it and what is this all about, how do I get started? If you've already made that commitment to starting it, so we got a really good one lined up. But this one's going to be all about the steps, how to start your trucking business. We're going to go high level on this one. This is going to be, call it episode one of how to start a trucking company. So I want to talk high level and just kind of go over the steps. But leave a comment if you kind of want me to go into more detail on any of these items, and I can do that. But here we go. So the first thing we do when starting a trucking company, before we even talk about what equipment to buy, and before you even set up your company and reserve your name on that state website, we want to take a pause. We want to take a pause and we want to determine if a trucking business is for us, if business in general is for us, right? So I call it the success driven mindset. Do you have it? Not everybody has that mindset for business. Business is not for everybody. I talk to a lot of people, as you can imagine, trying to help them get started with this trucking business. And the first thing I ask them the $1 million question: why? Why do you want to start a trucking business? And you'd be surprised at how many people can't answer that simple question. Or they tell me there's a lot of money to be made. But just because there's a lot of money to be made doesn't mean that it's a business for you. You have to be built for it. You have to be built for it. Used car sales, you can probably make a lot of money. You can make a ton of money on used car sales. Not for everybody. It's not for me. Insurance sales, not for me. So first thing you have to do is kind of evaluate yourself between the ears. Is business for you? Are you a risk taker? Do you want to part with your savings? A lot of people have this money saved up and they're clenching onto it and they don't want to spend it. They're not a risk taker. So are you able or willing to take risk? Do you have the money, the capital to sustain loss? Do you have it? Do you have what it takes? So I've got some exercises that I can go into in some other videos to kind of assess if this is the business for you. But the first thing, that's the first thing you want to do. Figure out if this business is for you. And then once you've done that, then you can kind of get into the specifics of starting the business. And the first thing we want to do is determine what type of equipment you want to purchase, right? This is going to be important, obviously. Do you want to do a box truck? You've got box trucks. Do you want to do a Sprinter van? You've seen the Sprinter vans, kind of like the Amazon vans. Do you want to do one of those? Do you want to do semi-truck, whether it's the big sleeper? You've seen the big one that's got the compartment behind it where you can sleep. So when you're on the road, when you go over the road, you don't have to stay in hotels. Do you want to do the big sleeper? Do you want to do the day cab? Amazon is doing a lot of day cab work, depending on what city you're in. So that might be an option for you. And then we can go on and on. But, once you determine what sort of equipment you want, then I want you to kind of go over and you want to look at an insurance quote. Now, this is key. This is very important with the insurance piece, because insurance is the number one reason, in my experience, what I've seen, why trucking businesses fail. It's because insurance. Insurance can be costly. Insurance is expensive. So you want to get this right. So what I have people do, my suggestion is get an insurance quote before you even buy any equipment. Well, how do you do that, Al? Great question. Progressive is the number one insurer for new businesses. So what you can do is you can actually go to progressive.com, go to the Progressive business insurance, commercial insurance, and you can get a quote. You can model out a quote. You don't have to have the equipment yet. So if you know you're looking for, say, a Freightliner 2016 Cascadia, then what you can do is just go get a quote and model that in. You don't have to actually have the equipment. So it's going to give you a quote. It's going to be a rough estimate, but it's pretty spot on. Then you can kind of get an idea of how much insurance is going to cost you. You'll also be able to see the driving factors, because there's different underwriting criteria that will dictate how much or how little insurance you'll pay, right? So what are those factors? Where you live, right? Or where you're going to garage your trucks, because that's really what drives it. So I might live in, and I'm here in a suburb north of Atlanta in Marietta. I might live in Marietta, but I might garage my trucks in Canton, Georgia. So Canton, Georgia is going to be what drives the price of the insurance based on the location. So where you garage your trucks is one of those factors. How old you are, or the driver of the truck, is going to play a role. So just like car insurance, the younger you are, the more premium you pay. So the sweet spot is about 35 years old. If you're 35 or older, you're going to be in the ideal spot for insurance. 25 to 35 is kind of okay, but under 25, it's going to get pretty pricey. So age. So we talk about garage address, age, and length of the CDL license. So how long the drivers had their CDL license is going to play a role. And believe it or not, credit plays a big factor in the premium that you'll pay for your insurance. So get an idea of how much insurance is going to cost you, because it can price you out of business if you don't get that right. So that'll help you determine who I should partner with, where I should locate my business, what type of equipment I should buy. Maybe you plug in a 2016 Freightliner, the big semi truck, and that's expensive. So maybe you go with the Sprinter van to start out your fleet. There's a lot of work to be gotten in a Sprinter van. So maybe that's where you go. So insurance will drive kind of what sort of equipment you might want and what direction you go. All right. So we've assessed our success-driven mindset. Is this for us? We've determined what type of equipment. We have a good idea of how much insurance is going to cost us. So now we need to get legal. All right. You need to set up your business. So you're going to need to determine what the name of the business is going to be. You want to spend some time there. You want to make sure that it has a professional sound. I see a lot of people make the mistake of creating a business that has a name that doesn't really sound too professional. And if you're serious about this and you really want to, scale up and go to a level to achieve the sort of success that you want to really spend some time around getting that name, getting it right. I can't tell you how many times I see people that have these names that, you see it and brokers might not take you seriously. So spend some time around getting the name. So you're going to need to get your tax ID. You're going to need to get your tax ID set up. You'll have to have that because you're going to fill out W-9s for all of the vendors and brokers that you get set up with down the road. And then you're going to get set up with either an LLC or a corporation. I don't claim to be a lawyer or a tax advisor. So I can't steer you one way or the other, but you'll have to get that set up. I will say this, that most of the companies that you see in trucking are LLCs. LLCs offer a certain level of protection as an individual that can save you. So I will say that. But talk to a tax advisor to make that determination of what sort of business type you should set up. All right, so now we're legal. We've got our entity set up. Now we're going to go to the FMCSA website, and we're going to get set up with our MC number, motor carrier number, and our DOT number. And you can do like we did when I was getting set up. And we outsourced this because you'll see when you go to the website, it can be pretty Not necessarily labor intensive, but you'll have some questions if you've never done it. So you might want to consider sitting down with, and just a Google search will kind of tell you some of those vendors. And I may put some in the description, some of the vendors that we know that can help you get set up. And then that way, at least you have the peace of mind of knowing that it's right, it's set up properly, and you don't have to worry about that. But the MC number, DOT number. So DOT number is more of a state sort of driven number. A lot of times if people don't go out of the state, if they're just carrying goods, I'm here in the state of Georgia. So if I was carrying something from, say, Savannah to Atlanta, and I had no plans and intentions of going outside the state, then I could get away with just a DOT number. Motor carrier number is more for those that plan on or intend to go across state lines. You want to go to Florida, to Mississippi, to Georgia, Connecticut, Denver, Colorado. Then you want to get both, the MC number and DOT number. So you're going to get with FMCSA to do that. Again, my suggestion would be to get with a third party to kind of help you set that up. All right, so you got your FMCSA set up, the MC DOT number. Now we're going to go ahead and purchase that equipment that we talked about. So you made the determination early on what sort of equipment that you want. Go ahead and purchase that equipment, right? So go ahead and, whether it's through financing, whether you're paying cash, however you acquire it, whether you lease, go ahead and get that equipment. And then once you've gotten your equipment, because you're going to need the equipment, going back to the insurance piece and the FMCSA piece, once you get the equipment and you get it insured, the FMCSA kind of has a quiet period. So once they can see that you have insurance, because when you get your MC and DOT number, they're going to be active. You're going to get a number, but it won't be fully active, right? Because what they're waiting for is that insurance. So once you purchase the equipment and insure it, your insurance agent is going to upload that information so that it's ready and available for the FMCSA. So once that's up, you're going to have to wait about 3 weeks. You're going to have to wait about 3 weeks for your MC and DOT number to be fully active. So in this time period, you're going to be waiting for that final email to say, hey, look, you can finally, transport cargo from A to B. So during this time period, this quiet period that we call it, we suggest really just kind of finalizing the setup, build those relationships with your brokers, build those relationships with your dispatchers, look to hire, if you're like myself, who's never, I've never driven. So build those relationships with, the drivers and so on and so forth. So just kind of put the finishing touches on setup. So that way you don't kind of waste that time, get prepared, get full fuel cards and just the little details. Just spend that time, getting that set up. We call it the quiet period. So get set up. And then after that, you're really set up. Once you get that email, I can remember waiting on that email and finally getting it. It was a happy time. So once you get that, you're ready to roll, and hopefully you've given some thought to, how you're going to get your freight, and who's going to dispatch you, and hopefully you're ready and you're set up, and you can just kind of take that first load, and like I said, make that money, because there's a lot of opportunity here in trucking. I think that's why you're here. That's why I've set up the channel, because we all realize that there's a lot of opportunity in transportation and trucking. So after that, you'll be on your roll on your way. So there you have it. High level, like I said, this was going to be a quick video. I just kind of want to detail the steps that it takes to get going in trucking. And like I said, just comment below if you want me to go into more depth in any one of these areas. Like I said, this is, call it, episode 1 of a series of how to truly really get started. So that's all I've got. Again, this is Alton Lumpkin here with Trucking Success Pro. If you haven't subscribed by now, please go ahead and do that. Again, it helps us out, helps us with the algorithm, helps us get in front of more people as we try to build this community. But that's all I've got. And I'll talk to you soon in the next episode.